Just a second. Just a very good evening to all of you. We have completed module 1, that is drafting under the Companies Act. Today we will discuss some new topics with respect to the drafting, with respect to the, you can say, the business transaction or the assets transactions. Just a second, I am sharing a screen with all of you. Do let me know again various answers in the chat box. Today we will discuss the property related drafting, and the first topic would be the lease and the license agreement, as well as the lease agreement. This is very important to understand. First of all, I am starting with the lease agreement. This is very important. Lease agreement. Today itself, we will also study the leave and license agreement. These two agreements we will study today. All right, no problem at all. So first example is in front of you. Let's say Mr. A has a land. This is the land Mr. A has. Mr. B wants to get the possession of this land. That's why Mr. B approached Mr. A. Both the parties agreed that Mr. A will give the possession to Mr. B. No problem at all. For 5 years, Mr. A will give the possession of this land to Mr. B. Now, Mr. B will teach to the son of Mr. A for 5 years, of course. Now, my question to you is that, what do you think? This transaction would be known as what? Anyone would like to answer here? This transaction would be known as what? Okay, Sagar is saying lease. Mansingh is saying barter. Saurabh is saying lease. Okay. Now, this is very important to understand. In return of the possession, Mr. B is not giving anything in terms of monetary benefit. Mr. B is not giving rupees. But yes, Mr. B agreed that, sir, he will teach to the son of Mr. A every month for next 5 years. The answer is yes. This would be known as lease. We will understand with various examples. No need to worry about the same. Very nice, Sagar. A judiciary aspirant. Very nice. Now, the second example is in front of you. Mr. A is again giving the possession to Mr. B for 5 years. No problem at all. Now, Mr. B is giving a car. Mr. B is giving a car having a value of rupees 2 lakh for lifetime. Now, do let me know, this transaction would be known as what? Yes, anyone would like to answer here again? Saurabh, Sagar, Pritika, Mansi. Yes.
Sorry, sir, I couldn't hear it.
Mr. A is giving the possession of land to Mr. B for 5 years. Mr. B is giving his car to Mr. A for lifetime. Whether this transaction would be known as sale, exchange, barter, what is this? Yes, Sagar. Okay. Lydia is saying that this is barter. Muskan is saying barter.
No, sir, it will be lease. It will be lease.
Pritika is saying again barter. Mansi is saying again barter. But again, this is
means it. He's giving in means.
Lease. This is a lease. Sir, today we will understand the various example of lease with example. Your myth will be cleared. Every concept will be cleared. No problem at all. Just give me 5 minutes. This is again a lease. Okay, sir. Now, Mr. A is giving a possession of this land to Mr. B for lifetime, not for 5 years, but for lifetime. Okay, sir, no problem at all. In return of the same, Mr. B is giving 40 lakhs as of now. in one lump sum payment, Mr. B is giving to Mr. A 40 lakh rupees. Yes, after Sagar, Pritika, Adarsh, this transaction would be known as Harucha, Muskan. Everyone is saying sale. Shaitan bache they are. They are Shaitan. Prabhat, you are also Shaitan. Sagar, so proud of you. A judiciary aspirant. This is again a lease. This is again a lease. Very nice, Sudhanshu. Now, so why this is a lease or sale? Just give me a 5 minutes now to explain. In lease, you do not transfer the ownership. First of all, you do not transfer. Never ever the ownership will be transferred. Wes, very nice, Sudhanshu. The ownership will never be transferred in lease. In all the cases, we are just transferring the possession. I am just transferring the possession, right? Ownership will not be transferred. Ownership will not be transferred. Okay. Various students said, sir, this is a sale. Arey beta, why this is a sale? In sale, you transfer the ownership. You transfer the ownership in the sale. But this is not the sale. Why? Because we are giving only the possession. Okay. Now, sir, please explain me the definition of lease one by one. Okay, please try to understand. In this example, Mr. A is giving a land, a possession of the land. Sir, this land is the immovable property. Yes, this land is the immovable property. Now, Mr. A is giving the possession of this land to Mr. B. So this possession is a right. This is a right to enjoy the property. Right to enjoy the property. We are not transferring the ownership in this case. We are just giving the right to enjoy the property. Okay, sir. Now, sir, we are giving this right for the limited period. This period is only 5 years. No problem at all. In return of the same, Mr. B is not giving the monetary benefit. Mr. B is giving a services to Mr. A. So, sir, for becoming a lease, a right to enjoy the property will be given, the first thing. The second thing is that this right will be given for certain period of time. This right will be given for certain period of time. Okay, sir, no problem. 5 years is the certain period of time. Okay. Now, in return of the same, Mr. B can also give services. Mr. B can also give services. No problem at all. This will be counted as the consideration. All right, sir. All right. No problem at all. So, sir, this term will be known as lease. Now, the second example is in front of you. In this case, again, Mr. A is giving the right to enjoy the property for certain period of time. Now, Mr. B, here, he is not rendering the services. He is giving the ownership. He is giving the ownership of one property. Or you can say one thing. He is giving the ownership of one thing. Now, do let me know whether this will be again termed as lease. The answer is yes. If you are giving the things that can be valued, that again, this will be a lease. Okay, sir. So why this is not the exchange? Yes, anyone would like to answer why this is not the exchange? Yes, sir. You are allowed to unmute yourself.
Sir,
Lydia.
because still it's one side is possession, even though the other side is given the ownership to the car.
Okay, so you want to say that, sir, in the case of exchange, in both the cases, the ownership will be transferred. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Saga, anyone would like to answer here?
The exchange is defined under TP Act section 118 defines exchange. Sir, it says that when two persons mutually transfer the ownership of one thing for the ownership of another, neither thing or both things being money only, the transaction is called lease. That means both the things has to be money.
Not being
Yes,
money,
sir.
not being money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's why it won't be exchange.
Yes. So, sir, once the ownership of both the things transfer, that will be termed as exchange. Yes or no, Sagar? But in this
Yes.
case, we are giving the possession. Mr. A is giving the possession, and Mr. B is giving the ownership. So this will again be counted as lease. This will again be counted as lease because Mr. B is giving a thing that can be valued in terms of money. This car has a value of rupees 2 lakh. Yes, Pritika, any doubt to you in this case? No, sir. Okay. Now, in this case also, Mr. A is giving the possession, okay, right to enjoy the property is being transferred, but for lifetime. This is important to understand. This right is being transferred for lifetime. Now, my question to you is that whether a right to enjoy can be transferred for the lifetime. Yes, anyone would like to answer here again?
Yes, sir. The lease can be given for lifetime. It's an unlimited lease.
Okay. Anyone would like to answer? Sudhanshu, Shashank. So you said that there cannot be possession in lease. Yes, sir. Mansi is saying yes, sir. This can be possible. Okay, Mansi. लॉक कर दिया जाता है. Again, sir, lease दोनों तरह की हो सकती है. Lease can be of two types. One is certain period of time, and one is perpetual. All right, sir. So, for example, if Mr. A is giving a lease, a possession of land for lifetime, and in return of the same, Mr. B is giving a lump sum amount. This is important to understand. Mr. B is giving a lump sum amount. Why this is not a sale? Why this is not a sale? Yes, Lydia, why this is not a sale?
Sir, the definition of lease says it's.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Sagar, please go ahead.
Sir, the definition of lease says so. Like we have to pay we have to pay it in one go, or we can pay it like in money or in share of crops or service, anything like that. In one go or in periodically.
Okay, so we can also make the payment in one go. Yes. But for
Yes, sir.
example, instead of giving the possession for the lifetime, I am just writing that Mr. A is giving the ownership. Now, do let me know. This transaction would be known as what?
Same, sir.
Very nice. Very nice. So, sir, this transaction would be considered as sale then. Okay. No problem. Just a second. I will revise various examples. Mr. A is giving the ownership of this land to Mr. B. And in return of the same, nothing from Mr. B is coming. This transaction would be known as what? Yes.
Gift.
Very nice, Sudhanshu, Prabhat, Sagar. This transaction would be considered as gift in that case. Okay. Let's say only rupees 1 is coming. This transaction would be known as again.
Sale.
Very nice. Doesn't matter. Hey, someone is writing gift. Sudhanshu, why this is a gift? This is a sale because consideration is coming. A price is coming. In the case of gift, no consideration will come. All right, sir. Okay, no problem at all. So now we have understood the definition of the lease under section 105 of the Transfer of Property Act. Just a second, I am sharing a screen with all of you. Yes, a definition is in front of you. A lease of immovable property is a transfer of right, not the transfer of ownership. Okay, transfer of right to enjoy such property, okay, made for certain times, okay, or in perpetuity, in consideration of price paid, sir, in consideration of price paid. The third one example, or of a money or service. Service means the first example, or any other thing of value. It means the second example, the car wala example, to be rendered periodically or any specific occasion. This is known as lease. Okay. If you have the doubt in the definition of lease, anyone, you are allowed to ask. Yes. No doubt to you, anyone? Great. We can move ahead in that case now. So, sir, we have understood one thing, that is the definition of lease. Transfer of right to enjoy will be there. The period, the right to enjoy such property will be made for certain time, or it may be for perpetuity. Okay, no problem. In consideration of the same, a money can be given, a shares can be given, a services can be given, thing of any value can be given. And the fourth thing is very easy to understand, that one person will also give the acceptance. No problem at all. One person will give the acceptance. Okay, now this is clear. Now let's say, for example, in this case, Mr. A and Mr. B agreed for this transaction. Now my question to you is that how this transaction will take place? Whether the same will take place through a registered document, or the same will take place through oral transfer. This is very, very important to understand. Sagar is saying lease deed. Okay, no problem. So, sir, we will execute the lease deed. But, sir, my question to you is that whether we have to register this lease deed, or we can make the oral transfer in this case. Can be expressed or implied. Therefore, it can be oral too. Mansi. Okay, beta. Now, please try to understand the example. Those who are saying registered, let me check with Pritika. Pritika, why a registered instrument is required in this case?
I think there was a recent amendment which said that irrespective of the value, there has to be registration in the lease deed.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Shashank is saying the lease. Dimple is saying the lease. Okay. Yes. Any other, Sagar, any point to you? Would you like to add on something? A judiciary aspirant? Yes, Sagar. I think if more than 11 months, then registered.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Pritika.
a year-to-year lease. Sir, a year-to-year lease has to be done in the registered instrument.
Okay. Year to year is required. Pritika, Archana is saying, sir, agar more than 11 is to required. But Pritika is saying that for every lease, we have to get the registered. For example, let's say, Pritika, for example, this property, the possession of this property is being given for the period of, let's say, 8 months only. 8 months. Now, Pritika, you are saying that, sir, we have to get the registered lease deed. Yes? Yes, Pritika?
No, sir, I don't think so. I mean, I'm confused. It was a state amendment, I believe, relating to Telangana. I'm getting confused.
Okay. See, the general rule is that, sir, just give me a second. Yes, this is the rule. How to draft the lease deed? For example, अगर आपकी lease deed less than 1 year की है, less than 1 year, then, sir, it is not mandatory to get your lease deed registered. For example, we are giving the possession of this land for only 8 months. In that case, आपको register करवाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Registration of lease deed is not required. आप orally भी कर सकते हो, no problem at all. Okay. But अगर आपकी जो lease है, if your lease is from year to year, so what is the meaning of year to year? Yes, anyone would like to explain or know the meaning of year to year lease? Yes, Sagar. Archana. Do you know the meaning of year to year lease?
Renew after every 12 months, I think.
11 months.
If you
11 months, sir.
Renew,
Yes, it is 11 months.
1 year, 11 months, after 11 months.
what is the meaning of year to year? Yes, Sagar. Yes, Sagar, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Could you please
Sir,
explain the meaning of year to year lease?
Sir, year to year means like just a minute. I guess.
Sagar is also a shaitan now.
Sir, may I?
Yes, yes, please.
So, as according to Section 105 of Transfer of Property Act, it defines that the definition of lease will be properly explained in this, and where it says about the specific occasions, right?
Right.
The specific time period.
Correct.
So I think it will be your answer.
No, I am
No,
saying.
no.
What is the meaning
Lease
of
how
year
made
to
is
year?
given in 107.
The period of 11 months. So post 11 months, it could be another 11 months and so on.
This is known as year to year. Yes, this is very, very, very important. What is the meaning of year to year? Yes.
Sir, is this that is renewed, matlab, automatically that is renewed by after 1 year and something like this?
Okay, Kaushiki. Sahil, I guess you attended the first class. I have never
Yes,
seen you
right.
answering, right?
Yes, sir. It's my first time to answer a question.
Okay. So you must be a judicious friend in that case, right?
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
Great. So, for example, what is the meaning of year to year? Sagar, I am waiting for your inputs. Pritika, a judici. What is the meaning of year to year? This is very important to understand. What is the meaning of year to year? Yes, Sagar, doubt.
Yes, sir. I'm not in touch, so my memory has shaded a bit.
Okay. Yes, Pritika, any input to you? Ria, what is the meaning of year to year lease? Vijay, what do you think so? Bhumika, Shitan Bacha, Adarsh, Aditya, Aftab. Year to year, there will be a renewal in lease deed. Okay, just a second. Who gave this? Abhijit. Sir, year to year, what is the meaning of year? Are sir, year means a period of 12 months. Year means a period of 12 months. How it can be 1 to 11 months? How it can be 1 to 11 months? If we need more than 11 months, then we need registration. Mona is saying. Mona, again, you are answering for the first time, I guess. Okay, great. So year to year means first of all a period of 12 months. If you read the General Clauses Act, year means a period of 12 months. How it can be a period of? Yes, Mansi, please go ahead.
So because it's very much prevalent because of this rights of tenancy, they the landlord and the tenant, they enter into a 11-month period
Why?
because of the registration charges they have to pay. That's why
Correct.
it's prevalent that it's 11 months, although it's 12 months in paper.
Correct. So, Mansi, a period of year to year means, sir, that this is the period of 12 months. And this will be renewed automatically after the expiry of 12 months. This will be renewed after the expiry of 12 months. Okay, now, this is important again. Just, where I have written. Just a second. Yes, this one. Exceeding 1 year. This is very, very, very important. Exceeding 1 year. So, sir, exceeding 1 year means if I am giving the possession of my land for 2 years. So, sir, this will be exceeding 1 year. In that case, a registered document is required to be executed. In our state, lease has to be registered irrespective of the duration. I answered question keeping that in mind. Very nice, Pritika. Okay. So you must be from Telangana, right? Oh, yes. So, sir, if we are executing a lease deed for more than 1 year, just a second, this is general. You have to check the state laws. If we are executing a lease deed for more than 1 year, then a registered document is required. If we are executing a lease deed for less than 1 year, then it is optional. If it is year to year, then sir, again, it is required. Now, I have a question for all of you, and you all will be confused. If I am giving you a possession for exact 12 months, I am giving you a possession of a land for exact 12 months, whether the same will be transferred through registered instrument or the same can be done through orally. Yes, anyone would like to answer here? Archana is saying registered, Muskan is saying orally, Rajvi, You are answering for the first time. Prabhat is saying registered. Mansi is saying registered. Prabhat, why? I want why a registration is required in this case.
Sir, it is come under the definition of year to year, I think.
Okay, it is among the definition of year to year. Yes, anyone would like to explain? Pritika is saying no. Why? What is no, Pritika? Shashank is saying no. Optional hai. Acha, optional hai. ध्यान से समझो. Please try to understand this. For example, this is important. A lease of immovable property from year to year, okay, sir, or for any term exceeding 1 year, okay, can be made only by a registered instrument. No problem at all. Now, please try to understand यहाँ पर क्या लिखा है? Exceeding 1 year. But if your tenure is exact 1 year, उसके बाद renew नहीं हो रहा, the same will not be renewed automatically. If the same is renewed automatically, this is known as year to year. But if the same is not renewed automatically, and the same will be terminated after the expiry of 12 months, exact 12 months, then how? The same will be transferred, Prabhat. Do let me know now again the answer in the chat box. Yes, Vijay. What do you think so? Pritika. Sir, please define year to year again. Okay, Muskan. Just a second. Let me ask Shitan student, Sagar. For example, if we are giving the possession for exact 12 months, whether we have to get the lease deed registered, or we can give the possession orally. Sir, registered. Prabhat is saying registered. Pritika is saying, sir, why Prabhat? Why registered? Yes, Prabhat. Prabhat, where are you? Okay, very nice. Tanisha, Kaushik, Vijay, Sagar, very nice. If this is exact 12 months, then registration is not required. Registration is not required in that case. Okay, sir. Okay, now we have understood this concept also.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir, in section 107 that you have shown in that it is also written or a yearly reserve yearly rent.
Right.
That's why I said registered.
Okay, see, year to year means that we are giving.
No, sir, it is not under year to year. It is or reserved yearly rent. Sir, can you show that again?
See, this is important to understand. Okay, just a second. Just a second. Yes.
Yes, sir. Here exceeding 1 year or
Okay.
reserving a yearly rent.
Reserving a yearly rent. This is important.
Yes.
Reserving a yearly rent.
Yes, sir.
What do you understand by this term? Reserving a yearly rent. Yes.
Yes, it means 12 months.
Okay, reserving a yearly rent. Yes, Pritika, Sagar. What do you understand by the term reserving a yearly rent? Automatically renewed. Sudhanshu is saying automatically renewed.
It is saying 1 year. It is saying 1 year.
A year, right? Reserving a yearly rent. Correct. Exact 12 months. Exact 12 months ka agar hoga to. Yes. What do you understand by the term reserving a yearly rent? For example, very nice, Prabhat, just a second. For example, yes, Sagar, where are you? For example, this is important. This is Mr. A. Mr. B. Mr. A has a land. And we are giving this land to Mr. B for exact period of 12 months. Exact 12 months. After that, the lease will be terminated. The lease will be terminated after that. Now, let me give you the interpretation of reserving a yearly rent. Reserving a yearly rent. No registration required. Tanisha, why? reserving a yearly rent. Tanisha, why? Please go ahead. I want why. Just like Prabhat is saying, sir, what is the meaning of reserving a yearly rent? I just need why. It is getting terminated. Acha, Pritika is saying just one thing. Reserving rent means rent has been determined, but period of lease has not been decided yet. Okay. Period of lease has not been decided yet. Okay, reserving rent means rent has been determined, but period of lease has not been decided yet. So, sir, you want to say one thing. You want to say one thing, Pritika. For example, if this person is giving this lease to Mr. B for perpetual period, no period has been prescribed as of now. But Mr. A is saying, hey, Mr. B, give me yearly rent of rupees 10,000 first of all. Give me the yearly rent of rupees 10,000 first of all. You want to say this, I guess. Yes, Prabhat.
No, sir.
Yes, Pritika, please go ahead then.
Sir, I think reserving rent is like you have decided what is the amount to be paid as rent, but you are still not sure for how long you want to give a property as lease to the other person. So that period has not yet been decided.
Okay, okay. So, for example, we have reserved. Reserved meaning is very, very, very important.
Yes.
अगर यहाँ पर let's say for example ये लिखा होता just one thing, reserving a yearly rent की जगह यहाँ पर ये लिखा होता received a yearly rent, इसका क्या मतलब होता प्रभात? Reserving a yearly rent की जगह यहाँ पर ये लिखा होता received a yearly rent, तो क्या interpretation निकलती प्रभात? Yes.
Sir, I think
Yes, sir. In that is if it was written that receiving a yearly rent,
Right.
it means that if you are receiving a rent for 1 year and according to year, then it is necessary to getting registered.
Acha. Yes, Pritika, you were saying something.
Sir, I was saying that receive a yearly rent, I think it would imply year to year basis.
It will imply year to year. यहाँ पर जजमेंट है, ध्यान से समझना, यहाँ पर एक जजमेंट भी है. This is very important. I glad कि प्रभात ने हाईलाइट कर दिया. Very nice, प्रभात. यहाँ पर जजमेंट भी है. Just a second. Saga, where are you, बेटा? Reserving a yearly rent. उसके बाद मैं explain कर देता हूँ. I will explain this term, reserving a yearly rent. This is important.
So does it mean that it has been due but not been received, as it was said in the definition of lease, that paid or to be paid?
Right.
So that can be interpreted here also. Reserving a yearly rent signifies that it can be paid in future.
Okay, we are paying the rent in the future, let's say.
So it is due but not paid.
It is due but not paid, correct.
So
It's like a set number of amount that you're going to pay for the rent that's already been, that you're going to pay in the future, I think so. That's what I think.
Does it mean something like security deposited? Acha, so यहाँ पर there are various interpretations are being coming. किस अगर देखो आप चाहते हो you want to research here, this is very, very, very important to understand. ये जो question था ना, I have also researched अगर exact 12 months होगा, if this is exact 12 months, whether we have to get the lease deed registered or we can go ahead through the oral transfer. Just 4 months back, there is a judgment. Just 4 months back. If there is a lease for exact 12 months, and after the expiry of this lease, we are getting the possession back. We are getting the possession back after the expiry of this 12 months. So whether we can go ahead through the registered document, it is compulsory, or we can go ahead through the oral transfer. Just 4 months back, there is a landmark judgment with respect to this, just 4 months back. So one thing can be done. I am just giving you, let's say, for example, this today time. Prabhat, I am so glad for you. I am just giving you a day to research on this, that if the period is exact 12 months and after the expiry of 12 months, a possession is returning back to you, whether we have to get the lease deed registered or not. Just one question to all of you. This is one interpretation. Now, I am also giving you one more example. Just try to understand this. Just a second. Yes, black pen. For example, this is Mr. A. Mr. A has the land. Mr. A is giving a land to Mr. B for the period of, let's say 12 months. After the expiry of 12 months, this will be returned back to Mr. A. The possession of land will be returned back to Mr. A. Now, after 1 month, they are again executing a lease deed. They are again executing a lease deed for again 12 months. Again 12 months, they are executing a lease deed. Now, after the expiry of the lease deed, after the termination of lease deed, they again wait for 1 month, and after the 1 month, they again executed a new lease deed. This was the example 4 months back, that after the termination of the lease deed, they were executing again a fresh lease deed. Now, this is the homework to all of you. If the period is exact 12 months is important. If the period is exact 12 months and after the expiry of 12 months, the lease will be terminated, whether we can go ahead to the registered or we can go ahead through the oral document. Okay, this is the question. One student saying, just a second, let me go through with the check. Does it mean something like security deposit? और यहाँ पर ये emphasize देना, this is very important. This word is very important. Which word? Reserving. यहाँ पर receive और यहाँ पर ये नहीं लिखा to be received. यहाँ पर ये लिखा है reserving a yearly rent. Reserving. So this is important. This is very, very important to understand. Okay. For the day, I am giving you a small homework. No problem. Now, let me again share one screen to all of you, just a second. So we have understood section 107, section 105. Now, let's try to understand section 52. Section 52 of Indian Easement Act. Very, very, very important. Indian Easement Act. Yes, Prabhat, please go ahead. You have raised your hand.
Yes, sir. I want that case name, sir. I
have seen your comment in the chat box. I'm just trying to remembering the case name. Just a second.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, just a second. Yes. Leave and license agreement. First of all, the definition of license has been given under section 52 of the Indian Easement Act. Okay. For example, if I want the property on rent, there are two methods to get the property on rent. One is the lease and one is the leave and license agreement. So what is the basic difference between the lease that is defined under section 105 of the TOPA, Transfer of Property Act, and what is the meaning of license agreement, section 52 of the Indian Easement Act? Now, please try to understand this. In the lease, you are giving an interest. Interest will be transferred in the property. No transfer of interest. Ashna, very nice. If you are giving the property on lease, interest will be transferred. You can enjoy the property. That is the interest. But if you are giving a property on license, no interest will ever be created. कोई भी interest create नहीं होगा. No interest will be created. You will be only giving the possession, just giving the possession कि सर आपको ये काम इस पे करना है. You just have to do this thing on this property. Let me give you the example. For example, I am giving you this land and I am just saying कि सर यहाँ पर आप agriculture करो. You do the agriculture on this land and जो भी आएगा उसका 20% मुझे देना. Whatsoever the amount you will raise, you have to give me the 20% of that amount. Now do let me know. This transaction would be known as lease or license. I am giving this possession of this land. I am giving the possession of this land to Mr. B, and I am saying, sir, you have to do the agriculture on this land. जो भी proceed आएगी, whatsoever the proceed you get, you have to give it to me the 20% of that proceed. Vijay is saying lease, Mansi is saying lease, Shashank is saying license, Lydia is saying lease. But do you know? This will be considered as license. Just a second. I am giving you the possession. Okay, no problem. I am giving you possession. In both the cases, the possession will be given. In both the cases, the possession will be given. But in the case of lease, interest in the property will also be given. Interest in the property will also be given. It means आप उस property को जैसे चाहो enjoy कर सकते हो. You can enjoy the property as much as you like. Any way you like, you can enjoy the property. But in this case, Mr. A is imposing the restriction. Sir, अगर आपको इस property को enjoy करना है, if you want the possession of this property, you can use this property for only agriculture purpose only. You cannot enjoy the property you like, the way you like. The purpose is very limited. If you want to do the agriculture, do this. You cannot use this property for any other purpose. Okay, so in this case, we are giving the possession, but we are not giving the interest in the property. I will bother you again and again. What you are doing this, what you are doing. But in the case of lease, I will not bother you. I will just take my rent and I will do my activities. But in the case of license, I will see what activities you are doing in this case, how the things are going on. I will see all these things. So here, control will be mine. Control यहाँ पर मेरा होगा. But in the case of lease, आप उस property को जैसे चाहो वैसे enjoy कर सकते हो, just like the prudent man. ऐसा नहीं कि आप wall पे paint कर दोगे कुछ भी, drawings कर दोगे. No. Just like the prudent man, you can enjoy the property. The owner will not bother you. But in the case of license, the owner will bother you every time. Every time the owner will bother you. That's why I just want to say one thing here, that in the case of lease, the tenant is safer. कौन safe है यहाँ पर? किराएदार safe है. But in the case of license, who is safer? The landlord is safer. The person who is giving you the possession is safer. Why? Because ये license agreement को कभी भी terminate कर सकता है. A person can terminate the license agreement anytime. But here it is not possible. आपको काफी सारे laws को comply करना पड़ेगा to vacate or to evict the tenant. Okay, because जो हमारा law है, law is here to protect the interest of the tenant. Okay, law is here to protect the interest of the tenant. If you execute the lease deed, the lease deed will favor the tenants. But if you execute the license agreement, you can remove the tenant anytime you can remove the tenant. That's why you will be safeguarded. A landlord will be safeguarded at this point of time. And you know the section is 105, and here the section is 52 of the Indian Easement Act. Okay, now I am again sharing a screen. Just a second. Yes, lease. Just a second. This is lease deed is in front of you. Now, this is important. A monthly rent will be fixed. No problem. A monthly rent will be fixed. Okay. Now, I am giving the possession. The lesser is the person who is giving the possession. Lessee is the person who are giving the possession, who are taking the possession. So here Mr. B is the lessee and Mr. A is the lessor. I am giving the possession of the land, all my property, the pathways, the passage, the garden, all the things, the kitchen, the motor garage, all the possession attached to the land I am giving on the monthly rent of rupees, etc. and etc. The duration will be mentioned in the lease deed also. The rights will also be mentioned. Uspe kaun paint karayega, that will also be mentioned here again. This is the lease deed is in front of you. But let me again show you the license agreement. This is the lease and license agreement is in front of you. Just a second. Now, let me highlight the important point. The licensee herein is the need of temporary premises for his residential use. This is important. This is important. Now, again, only is mentioned. Only herein to use and occupy the said license premises for his aforesaid residential purpose only. As again, the only is mentioned. So, possession is being enjoyed by Mr. B for residential purpose only. So this is the limited period. आपको language check करनी पड़ेगी कि control किसका है. If the control is of the owner, then it is the license to the point. But अगर यहाँ पर control थोड़ा tenant का हो रहा है, that will be termed as lease. That will be termed as lease. Alteration है, no tenancy है, inspection, etc. etc. This is important again. यहाँ पर जो licensor होगा, he will be inspected the property again and again. Check करता रहेगा reasonable interview पे कि बेटा ठीक भी है सब कुछ या नहीं है. This is important. So यहाँ पर in the case of license, the license agreement will favor the landlord. But in the case of lease, a lease deed will favor the tenant. That is the basic difference to you for understand. If you have the doubt in this case, please, you are very much allowed to ask. Please go ahead. One by one. Yes, just a second. Vijay understood, sir. Thank you. Yes, after Abhijit. Sagar, please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I want to say that the year to year means that or exceeding, sir, renewal means, sir, it has to be a year to year thing. I mean, if it is a year to year or exceeding 1 year, it has to be registered mandatorily. So if it is also for 12 months, it has to be registered according to section 17(1)(d) of Indian Registration Act.
17(1)(d) of the
Indian Registration
Act. If the same is for exact 12 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is just a small homework. I thought you have research on this topic in the class itself. Very
I was
nice.
busy with that.
Very nice. That is the beauty of interpretation, Sagar. Muskan,
Yes, sir.
very nice. Sagar, any doubt to you in this case, Abhi, as of now?
No, sir, I'm clear.
Great. Muskan is saying, sir, please define year to year again. Beta, year mean a period of 12 months. Okay, year means a period of 12 months. Now, year to year means we will be renewed. We will be renewed the lease deed automatically. The lease deed will be renewed automatically after the expiry of 12 months. This is the meaning of year to year. Okay, sir. Yes, Abhijit, Adarsh, Aditya, any doubt to you? कोई doubt nahi, sir. Riya Raj, Riya, Sahil, Sakshi, Saurabh. Any doubt to anyone? Any doubt? Small to small, no problem at all. Clear, sir. Note, sir. Very nice. Understood, sir. So this is important. I am just giving you again a small homework that is again very important, Lidya. If the period is exact 12 months, Sagar although have given the answer, but still try to interpret the law if the period is exact 12 months. Whether we have to register the lease deed, yes or no. You have to go through with the provisions of Indian Registration Act. You have to go through with the provisions of TPA. You have to go through with one judgment. You have to go through with the provisions of the meaning of reserving. This is important. Sagar, could you please elaborate the meaning of reserving?
So reserving, I
a
guess.
yearly rent.
Yes, sir. The reserving, I guess, like what Pritika was saying, that if we have discussed about the remuneration of the thing or the premium of the lease, and we had not decided about the tenure of the lease, I guess that what means for reserving a yearly rent.
So you are saying, Sagar, that the tenure of lease is, let's say, 5 months. Just a second. As of now, we have mutually decided the tenure of the lease would be 5 months. We have not written the same in the lease deed, but we have reserved the same. We have reserved the annual rent. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mansi is saying, sir, reserving mean deposit. Deposit. Okay. Reserve means.
Sir, can I say something?
Yes, Prabhat, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. In that clause, it is saying that year to year,
Correct.
and if exceeding 1 year,
Exceeding 1 year.
So and reserving a yearly rent. So reserving a yearly rent is not about the money or deposit. It is about the time period, tenure. That if tenure, if tenant want to reserve his rent room for 1 year, then also it should be registered. This is the interpretation.
Okay, see, if this is the interpretation, so they must have written, just a second. Let me share the screen with all of you. If this is the interpretation, Prabhat, don't you think that they should have written this here? Just a second, let me show you. Where it is, section license. No, we don't want license. Yes. If, for example, they could also written here, that's a lease of immovable property from year to year, okay, or for any term, or for 1 year, or see, they must have written, if that is the interpretation, a lease of immovable property from year to year, okay, no problem, or for any term of 1 year or more. Why there is a need of writing this, reserving a yearly rent? This is important. They could have write any term of 1 year or more. In that case, registry is required. They could have write this. Yes, Prabhat?
Yes, sir, you are right.
But they have written reserving a yearly rent. मैं ये कह रहा हूं, अगर वो ये भी तो लिख सकते थे, year to year or term of 1 year or more, then registry is required. But उन्होंने ऐसा नहीं लिखा. They have written for any term exceeding 1 year. और यहाँ पर term नहीं लिखा. They have written reserving a yearly rent. यहाँ पर एक रात लगेगी, इतना easy नहीं है ये.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reserving a yearly rent. It is saying from the point of view of tenant or from the point of view owner, it should be taken into consideration. So
right.
We have to see the interpretation of the thing.
समझ, अगर देखो ध्यान से समझो प्रभात and any student, अगर उनको यहाँ पर ये करना होता ना कि 12 months भी include है, आपको नहीं लगता वो easy कर देते, वहां पर ये लिख देते for term of 1 year or exceeding 1 year. Don't you think so, Sagar or Prabhat?
Yes, sir.
They could have write here, but why they have written reserving a yearly rent here? यहाँ की कुछ और ही interpretation है reserving a yearly rent, and you will be surprised. Reserving a yearly rent. Reserving is most important. यहाँ पर receiving भी नहीं लिखा, यहाँ पर to be received भी नहीं लिखा, यहाँ पर reserving लिखा है और yearly rent लिखा है. This is again important. So just one day I'm giving you to research on this topic. Prabhat, you got the point. I hope you all will research on this topic.
Okay, sir. I will work on this.
Very nice. Yes, Bhumika, why you are silent today? Is everything We will, sir. Very nicely there. Bhumika is saying, sir, please don't ask me. Very nice. I hope aapko you must have understood the meaning of the lease as well as the license agreement. Nowadays, these things are very, very, very important to understand. Okay, let's meet again in the next week. Thank you so much to all of you. If you still have the doubt, I am giving you one homework. Do let me know the answer today itself. Do let me know the answer today itself. If the period is exact 12 months, what we have to do? What is the interpretation of reserving a yearly land? What a practical scenario can be done in this case? Kritika, Saga, I have some inspiration or expectation from all of you. Tanisha, Vijay, Sudhanshu, Shashank, everyone. I will wait for your answer. Okay. Thank you so much to all of you. Please take care. Stay safe. Thank you. Yes. Well, thank you.